Welcome into another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, holiday weekend just around the corner. We talk barbecue and firework safety. Special event happening at the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center at Georgian College. The keynote speaker at its awards night is a globally recognized innovation strategist. Sean Kanungo talks about the disruptive forces being felt by businesses, everything from artificial intelligence to digital business models and how to make them work in your favor. We speak with a Midland woman who almost fell for the grandparent scam. Find out how it played out for her, how she dealt with it, and how you can protect yourself. And Will Dwyer's Terry Fox legacy lives on through his son Robert. We get an update on his efforts. But first, the first pitch for the Barrie Baycats is being tossed tonight at Vintage Throne Stadium, and this is the first of a series of regular visits with Baycats president Josh Matlow as we follow the team's journey through the IBL season. He's with Barrie 360's Will Konken.
First inning of Talking Baycats. We appreciate you coming on, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So the club has its home opener Thursday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Rematch of last season's first round playoffs. Are you looking to set the tone and maybe get some revenge?
That's exactly what we're trying to do. It's been a long off season. We added some big backs, some big players, and we're really excited to get started.
Are there a few players in mind, maybe some new ones that you're interested in seeing, what they can provide to the team?
Well, first off, we have our imports, which is a huge help. We haven't really had proper imports the last few years. So Sterling Rodriguez is back from the championship squad. We have Emily Scalero also back from the championship squad. We added a big arm in Jeffrey Nunez that pitched with Guelph last year. We also added a few other arms that we're excited to see. But we signed Kyle Mays. He's a college senior graduating, so he's going to be coming back. He's a great ball player, utility guy. We signed Hayden Jaco, catcher, who is the 2021 Rookie of the Year. We have Ryan Rio back. We have Roy Sando, Adam Odd, Marcella Kapp has come back from the independent leagues. And we're really high on our rookie Josh Tibbetts, who's a local Barrie boy. So we're excited. There's a lot of big guys coming in and big bats who hopefully will help our offense. But we have now the pitching in place. In terms of rotation, we have the bats, and we're hoping that we get off to a hot start, having the first 5 of 6 games at home.
Good news heading into the home opener. Saw there will be a bus shuttle that can take fans up to the ballpark. Maybe touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so it was obviously a vision we've had. Working with the city sometimes takes time, but they were fantastic, and we had Anne-Marie Kungle, Baycats supporter, as well as, I believe it's Ward 3 counselor. She was able to sponsor and help out with that and help finalize some details with the city of Barrie and Barrie Transit, so we're grateful for that. It just gives the fans an opportunity to come out, whether they drive or not, teenagers, really anybody who either doesn't drive or doesn't have the means to get there, gives them an opportunity to come out and enjoy the opening day festivities.
Nice. And then another home game on Sunday, this time against the Brantford Red Sox. Must still probably be a feel-out process heading into that one.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping by after that game we have a little bit of everybody in at some point, get some innings in for the pitchers, get some at-bats for the players to know what we have moving forward, and then the next game would be the next Thursday, also at home, but hopefully we'll know what we have by then. So we're excited to see the pitching, we're excited to see the hitting, we're just excited to get on the field, to be honest with you. The weather's nice, and I think everybody's raring to go.
That shuttle to the ballpark, by the way, leaves Park Place tonight at 6:45, stopping at the Allendale Rec Center, Downtown Bus Terminal, and East Bayfield Community Center before arriving at the ball yard. The bus home leaves at 10:15, making all the same stops, and it's a freebie. Just show your ticket to the game. Long weekend upon us, Victoria Day weekend, May 2-4 weekend, the first holiday weekend of 2023 where we should be able to enjoy the outdoors to the utmost. Maybe the first time you fire up the barbecue since the winter, but before you do, Miranda Fox, Customer Solutions Manager at Napoleon, tells us there are a few things you should do before you light it up, and it may involve small critters that made a home for themselves over the winter.
That's right. So, we know a lot of people right now coming into the long weekend are getting excited to head up to the cottage, or maybe they're getting ready for a family barbecue. They're going to dust that grill off, and inside there could be some surprises, like you said. We see things like critters can get in the way of things in the wintertime, so we have some tips on how to, if you're interested, on how to get your grill up and running for the summer.
Well, let's do that. But first of all, you need to get anything like critters cleaned out of there. I know somebody who had a whole bunch of chestnuts in place of their briquettes one year, so...
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you don't have any living animals in there when you open it up, but there is definitely sometimes evidence of that when we have animals that hibernate over the winter time. So yeah, you definitely want to clean out any of that stuff, and I will go over that a little bit with you.
All right, let's start. We've opened the lid and we're looking in and we're seeing the remnants of the last barbecue. What do we need to do first of all?
Yeah, so the first and most important thing about a grill that's coming out from the winter time is safety. So you want to make sure that you're checking to make sure all your gas connections are good. Again, talking about those critters over the winter time, sometimes critters like to nibble on rubber surfaces. So your regulator for your propane tank, your natural gas hose, they can have little nibbles in them, and you want to make sure you don't have any gas leaks. So how do we contend with that? We do a leak test. So that's really simple, Dan. You just take some soapy water and brush it onto those gas connections, turn your gas on, and see if there's any bubbles. No bubbles, you're good to start grilling. If there are bubbles, you need to check to see if it's a gas connection that's come loose over the winter, or if, like we talked about, it could be a little nibble from a critter. So we want to check that out. The next thing you want to do is make sure your grill is clean. So again, it's not always that you have acorns or whatnot in your grill, but you definitely want to make sure that your cooking surfaces are clean. A lot of the time our customers call, they don't take the burners apart. They don't go all through that. So we recommend that you unscrew the burners. Before you pass a Venturi brush through the burner, you get a little drill bit, about 1/16 drill bit. There's a whole bunch of burner holes. You want to pop your drill bit down into those ports, and that makes sure if there's any blockages in those ports, it all falls into the middle of your burner. You pass your Venturi brush through it, and that'll clean it all out and make sure your burners are good to go.
When you say drill bit, not attached to a drill, you're just
not
taking
attached
the bit
to
and
a
poking
little
it through like a
one,
toothpick kind of thing.
That's right, or a toothpick, something like that. That you can, even a paper clip, you can go in and pop it in and make sure that you want to push all that debris down into the base of your burner and then pass a Venturi brush. If you don't have a Venturi brush, which is like a flexible brush, you can use a coat hanger, something that'll get anything that's sitting. Sometimes spider webs happen. Insects can burrow in there as well over the winter if you're in the middle of summer. So it's good to just make sure you're checking that out.
And what happens if you don't discover that? It's in there and you fire up the barbecue. What are some of the dangers?
You can have flashback happen. You won't have the performance of your grill that you want, so you definitely want to make sure that that's happening. You might see that your flame is an uneven pattern, so it's definitely important for grill performance that you're doing that.
You talk about uneven grill pattern. How do you know when it's time to replace that grill?
Replace the grill or the burners?
The burners.
Okay, so when you're looking inside your grill, you want to inspect, again, before you get started for the season, you want to inspect that your burners are in good shape, that there's no cracking between the burner holes, the burner ports, that there isn't any holes in the burner. We don't recommend that you continue grilling on a grill with broken burners.
What else do we need to be looking at and checking on? I suspect the propane tank, if that's what you're using, needs to be inspected as well.
Yeah, so you want to check your propane tank, make sure that that's good. If you're doing a swap out, oftentimes they are inspecting those propane tanks, but it's just good practice to make sure that the O-ring inside your tank isn't cracked. All those things can add to a potential leak. Again, you want to make sure your cooking surfaces are clean. We don't recommend that you use any type of oven cleaner in grills. Soap and water is the best thing to keep a grill clean. You want to clean your burners, clean your sear plates, clean off your cooking grids. And then on the external, if you're stainless steel grill, you can use soap and water on the exterior.
$1 million question. Mm-hmm. How do you know when you need to refill your propane tank?
Well, if your propane is low, what'll happen is you'll light your first burner, you'll light your second burner, and you will see that the flame is slowly going down. That usually is a sign that your propane is pretty low and it's time to replace. There are propane tanks out there that have a gauge that'll tell you your propane is low.
Okay, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for the advice. Happy grilling this summer.
Yeah, I mean, let's get out there and grill, make some memories.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
This has also been a long weekend that is synonymous with fireworks displays. Not a lot of big organized fireworks anymore on this weekend, but there will be families setting them off in their backyards and in parks, which raises a red flag for firefighters. Barrie 360's Will Konken here again, getting some safety tips from Barrie Deputy Fire Chief Carrie Clark.
Fireworks can cause a lot of actual injuries more than they start fires. They have a greater hand, eye, and face injury ratio than most other events that people take part in.
What advice would you give to someone who's never handled fireworks before?
It's really hard to read the instructions on the back of them. They're in pretty small print. But if you do take an opportunity to read them, quite often you'll find that for properties here in the city of Barrie, they're not big enough to actually support fireworks. The smallest one that fits in the palm of your hand requires about 200 feet from the spectator to the device. So there's not a lot of places in Barrie that can handle that distance. It's also better for the observers to be at a 45 kind of degree angle from where the event is going to explode in the sky. So if you don't have that, if you're looking straight up at the firework, then you're not going to get the same experience as you do, say, on Canada Day out in the middle of Kempenfelt Bay.
If the firework doesn't go off at all, what kind of precautions should someone take as well if they do have their own and it doesn't ignite?
Exactly. So if that does happen, leave it alone. Let it sit for a period of time, a good period of time, and then it needs to go into a can of water or a pail of water, and it needs to sit in that pail of water and let it soak through the entire firework itself to ensure that it isn't just smoldering slowly on the inside.
As you said, there's not many areas in Barrie where you can actually set off fireworks. What are kind of some of the regulations around our area of when, where fireworks can take place?
Consumer-grade fireworks are for sale within the city of Barrie for the 5 days before the event and the day itself. You can only actually let them off on the scheduled day. So it's there's some pretty specific dates set out in there. You can't put them off in public parks. You can't put them off on the street. You can't put them off near hospitals or long-term care facilities, and you can't put them off near, say, like a gas station. That narrows down where a lot of people have the space available to be able to set off fireworks. And when they do set them off inappropriately, you're not just it's not something you do only in your backyard. You do affect the neighborhood. So it's not unusual to receive complaint calls during fireworks, especially for people who are impacted from them, personally, or if they have pets that are impacted. People get pretty worked up when those things happen, and it's not something that they're able to control.
How many calls do you get?
Honestly, a fireworks complaint, unless it actually sets something on fire, is a noise complaint. And so it's handled by our bylaw enforcement officers and our police officers. The trick is it's generally over before they're able to respond. So it's very difficult to enforce those bylaws. That doesn't mean that people should take advantage of that, though.
What are kind of the differences between like a legal and an illegal firework?
So legal fireworks have very specific amounts of propellant in them that they go a certain distance, they burn at a certain temperature, and it's highly regulated through the government. Fireworks that are not created to those same specs may light too soon, the wick may be too short, they have too much propellant, they go too high, they burn too hot, and they may not go off at the trajectory that you think they're going to because they're not necessarily manufactured in the same way. So it is very imperative if you're going to purchase fireworks that you do so from a licensed fireworks seller and to make sure that you have all of the manufacturer's instructions, even and including sparklers. Sparklers burn around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, you wouldn't give your toddler, a hot cake that you've just pulled out of an oven, but you'd hand them a sparkler that burns at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you bake a cake at 350, a sparkler's 2,000 degrees. Like, those are sort of the numbers we're talking to.
Where can people find more info? Does Barrie Fire have a list of fireworks safety?
We do have barrie.ca/fire, and go to seasonal safety, and you'll see a nice little blurb there on fireworks safety, and I'm sure we'll have some out on our social medias this week too.
What Barrie's Talking About is a weekly podcast featuring the best Barrie has to offer and more. We've covered a lot of ground since we began last summer, learned if and when you should be getting another booster shot against COVID, found out why the Barrie Farmers Market is not that excited about a move to the downtown bus terminal, and talked with one of two young men who risked their lives to save two others from a house fire in Alliston. You can get caught up and make it easy to keep up in the future by subscribing to What Barrie's Talking About through any podcast distributor. Still to come on What Barrie's Talking About, turning a disruptive digital world into a game changer. We get advice from a would-be victim of the grandparent scam in Midland. And Robert Dwyer continues his dad Will's legacy, collecting pledges for the Terry Fox Run. Now this.
Our community rocks.
It's a well-known fact blood transfusion saves lives. It's also a well-known fact that the world relies on voluntary unpaid donations to fill the need for blood. The need for blood never ends. Canadian Blood Services in Barrie is calling on you to help save a life. Please consider donating today. Appointments are mandatory and must be booked in advance. Book today at blood.ca through the Give Blood app or by calling 1-888-2-DONATE.
Our community rocks. On Barrie's Rock Station, Rock 95.
This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. No turning back from the digital society we've become. If you're not embracing it, you may be setting yourself up for failure. World-renowned innovation and disruption strategist Sean Kanungo will be in Barrie this month, speaking to the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurial Center at Georgian College about how to make the fast-moving digital world work in your best interests. He gives our Ian McLennan and you a preview.
Looking ahead to the future, should we be afraid or should we embrace when we're talking business and we're talking in the workforce?
Well, maybe I'm an optimist, and maybe because I've seen and helped organizations on this path to innovation and disruption. But I'm incredibly optimistic about the future, about jobs and careers. I think this is the greatest time to be in business today. We have all the tools that we've ever wanted in our pockets. We have all the ways of getting out our story and to create narratives in our pocket. So to me, this is the greatest time to be in business today. Those that are nimble and flexible and experimental are those that will win in the future. And so my job at the during my presentation is to help people to push people to really embrace this idea of innovation.
During the pandemic, we heard that other P word, pivot, both by business and by the employee, in terms of maybe even just their lifestyle and how they want to work. How critical or how much change has the pandemic caused both business and employee to look, outward and inward?
I mean, I think to me, the pandemic was beautiful. Despite everything that happened, I think it was for the first time people figured out how to embrace digital, how to reevaluate what they do for work and what they want at the end of the day, not only for individuals, but also for organizations. I think it was a return for people to say, hey, how does work actually align with my identity and my purpose? For organizations, it was how do we continue our mission and do it in a way that is sustainable and nimble, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So to me, it was a positive way of thinking about our lives and our businesses at the end of the day. So to me, it wasn't a pivot. To me, it was a reimagination of work.
Artificial intelligence, obviously, in the news, people both embracing it or trying to understand it. Where does it fit into our business world, or how you and I and others who are trying to make a living become part of this? And what do you see?
This is the biggest paradigm shift that we've ever seen since the internet. It might be bigger than the internet. It might be the printing press times a million. The reason why is because this technology is so exponential it is on a pace that even the experts in the world can't even keep up with, and they can't even comprehend at how fast this is moving. So this is going to impact every single business, every single industry, every single individual. And those that are not experimenting, playing, exploring about what the space could look like in their particular careers, they're going to be left in the dust. To me, this shift is going to be transformative. And I think for the good. I think this is going to turn every business, every individual, and give them superpowers. What do we do with that? What do we create? What can we build? What new industries can we build? How can we, be not only hyper productive, but how can we create new things? So to me, it's incredible, and we all need to pay attention. And if we don't, you're going to be left in the dust. And what I've been telling my audiences and every individual is that the reality is that AI is going to take some of your job. It is going to take some of your job. And your new job today is to figure out how AI is going to take your job. If you don't figure that out, somebody else will. And to me, everyone has to be focused on this right now. In some ways, it is going to remove some tasks that people have held on to and they've built their identity on. So we need to make sure that we understand the mental health ramifications and workforce implications as well. So we and of course, when it comes to AI, we need to be concerned about privacy, security, cyber attacks. This is also going to be on an exponential scale. So as a business, we need to be more hyper concerned about what are the implications of this. And so it's always a gift and a curse in some way. But what we've seen throughout history is that technological revolutions have moved us forward as a society. The reason why we have a better society, the reason why we've built better lives, is because of innovation. So we need to embrace it and deal with the consequences as they come, and they absolutely will come.
What about the small business operator or those that just work, those that work from home independently? Do they get to capture some of these changes that you see down the road and how they can embrace that too, that it's not just big business?
Absolutely. I think, to be honest with you, all the innovations that we're seeing enable small businesses more than any other entity out there. You have $1 billion companies, their technologies and tools and the ways that they create and build. It's now in our pockets as solo entrepreneurs. I believe that we will get to we already have one-person $1 million businesses. You're going to have soon one-person $1 billion businesses because of this revolution. And so, for me, this is the greatest time to be in small business. And I just want to unlock people to say, today we live in a world of infinite leverage. Traditionally within organizations, if you want to get work done, you would have to rely on people to scale. But today, software, AI, media, it's at our fingertips. And so as a solopreneur, as somebody working from home, this is the greatest time to build a business.
Sean Kanunga will have more to say on this May 25th at the Henry Bernick Award ceremony. Ticket information can be found at eventbrite.ca. Barrie's Will Dwyer was launching into what he hoped would be his second $1 million in fundraising for the Terry Fox Foundation when he passed last year, but his dream remains through his son Robert, who is with Barrie 360's MJ.
The run's not till September, but there's lots of campaigning involved and things like that. How are things going on your front with campaigning and things like that?
Well, we're getting ready to kick it off. Everything is set up. We're excited. The Dwyer family is excited to try to get Dad to the $2 million goal. Dad always went to the farmer's market. Got to be close to 20 years. He every Saturday from May through till September for the run. So I'm going to kick it off Saturday, May 20th. Hopefully everybody that has supported Dad. And I want to say thank you because last year's totals were $75,000 and change. And that's a huge step towards that $2 million. And we now sit at 1.275. million.
Amazing. You guys are doing really good.
I'll be at the farmers market with a table set up. I've got lots of the new Terry Fox 23 T-shirt, limited edition. Ryan Reynolds is helping the Terry Fox Foundation with this T-shirt.
That's an amazing shirt, by the way, that they put together with the Terry Fox Foundation.
I thought last year's shirt, which I'm wearing today, was nice. Each year they come out with something, and I'm going to have shirts there available. Short sleeve, new edition, for $25 for an adult and $20 for a youth.
And this is just the beginning of your campaign kickoff. You guys got a lot of things happening for this.
There's events. Unbelievable. Starting off with a June 2nd, Will Dwyer Memorial Golf Tournament in Borden Golf Club. Unfortunately, we sold out for participants.
It's not unfortunate. That's a great thing.
Well, that's a good thing. 2 months ago, but we're looking. Hopefully, it's been a rough road with prize donations, so we're hoping for the raffle table because all proceeds will go to the Will's $2 million goal. Hopefully, you can reach out. If you want, you can send email to robert.p.dwyer@gmail.com.
And obviously, your dad made such a lasting legacy. Everybody knows his name. And how important is it for you and your family to continue with this tradition? You guys didn't just give it up. You guys are going to keep going.
I was fortunate enough to take Dad around for the last 3 years, and I just seen just how an impact he has made on people all over the community. And for something like this to just die, it won't happen. As long as I'm here, I will continue to support and try to get Dad to the $2 million.
When you say that $2 million mark, I remember talking to him right after he got to the 1 million mark. I'm like, well, what are you going to do now? He's like, just like without a beat. He's like, I'm going to get to 2 million. I was like, okay. So he was a character, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was something that I had already talked to him and said, Dad, shut the door, turn off the phone once we hit the million, because I said you're going to be innovated. So I'll be home tomorrow because I was in Ottawa for the Fallen Firefighters Memorial. And I said, we'll take care of that stuff when I return. But like always, he never listened. He opened the door for anybody in the phone.
Any other things going on?
Yes, actually, the We Will Walk, which the firefighters from Borden did in 2019, which spread a lot of awareness on Will, as well as the Terry Fox Foundation. They're going to be doing their walk. A date is not set yet, but it'll be either in August or September. And also the Borden firefighters, which I retired from, are reaching out for a boot drive, and that'll be also done in August.
And when you see people at the farmers market like you did last year, of course, everybody just, knows you, knows your dad, and great support from the community.
It's just unreal. Until you actually stand there on that table and see the people that are just coming there for that reason.
Again, Robert will be at the Barrie Farmers Market this weekend to kick off this year's campaign for the Terry Fox Foundation. Hearing at least 1 or 2 reports a week from police about someone falling victim to the grandparent scam, Jane Barnett of Midland was this close to buying the gift cards the caller said would clear things up when she decided to make a quick phone call. She lays out her story for Barrie 360's Will Konken. Listen carefully. What she has to say may come in handy one day.
You had an incident with a grandparent scammer a few years ago. Would you mind telling me what happened?
Yes. So our son went to school in Ottawa. Perfect storm. We had just changed the insurance. It was a Friday afternoon. I get the call. He's been in an accident. He says, Mom, it doesn't sound like him, but he explains to me that he has hit his face on the steering wheel when he got in the accident, so his voice is different, and he's apologetic. I say his name, so they now have his name to use when they're speaking with me. and he asks me if I would like to speak with the police officer who is there with him. So the police officer indicates to me he's hit a diplomat's Mercedes. They're really upset. And would I like to talk to a lawyer? Because right now they won't be able to get him in front of a judge until Monday unless this lawyer can help us come up with some solutions. They are also indicating to me that they're taking his phone away so that we won't be able to reach him after these calls. So I said, yes, I would like to talk to the lawyer. The lawyer phones me on our home phone and indicates that he can probably get our son in front of a judge today. The judge he's thinking of in particular likes to support Boys and Girls Club in Ottawa and provides them with game cards so that the kids have cards to use to access different games online. And they would consider getting our son in front of the judge if we're willing to buy $4,000 worth of game cards or gift cards. I call my husband at work, and he comes home. And in the meantime, they call me and said, have you been on the phone? And I said, yes, I've contacted my husband. Our son's been in an accident. We want to resolve this together. And they told us you can buy these gift cards at these specific stores. And they mentioned the Superstore, Shoppers Drug Mart, and Walmart. They suggested we buy in larger increments, so $50 and up. And they indicated to us that when we were at the store, they might suggest that we're being scammed. And so we were to tell the store that we're making a charitable donation with these cards. So when we got in the store, my husband was the smart one and said, let's just call our son. And I said, we can't reach him. He doesn't have his phone anymore. And he said, let's just try. So we called. Our son picked up the phone, and I was so thrilled to talk with him. I was saying, are you okay? Is everything all right? Now you sound like yourself. And he knew right away that we had been scammed. So the thing we learned from it, we went back. The person tried to call us. They had indicated, we'll check in with you in 40 minutes, see how you've made out with collecting these cards. We asked for our son's full name. So this is the one time when you name your child and you give them the middle name as their main name they go by. Had I asked that during the call, I would have known right away it was a scam, but I didn't. So I took pages of notes, but never really asked the right questions. Tell me my son's full name. Tell me what town he's from. And really picking up the phone and calling that person whom you think has been taken into custody or has been injured is the key, because the minute they pick up the phone, you will know right away that you were being scammed. And that's how it was resolved for us.
This happened to you, and now in these past few months, past year, we've seen a lot of others it happened to as well. Why is it important to get this message out?
I think for a lot of people, you really don't believe it will happen to you. But they change the scam each time. And so someone may hear my story and think, well, it doesn't exactly match, so this can't be a scam. This is the real thing, because it doesn't sound like Jane's story. So this must be really happening to my son or my daughter or my parent. And I think that's the key, is just ask something that only you and that other individual would know, and it will tell you right away. If they start to struggle with being able to respond, then you know it's not the person whom you think you're either speaking with or about.
And you were saying that you guys are now getting rid of your landline.
We did
as well, and it's kind of seems kind of sad now that every time we pick up the phone, we have to be on high alert.
Yes, these people are so good at what they do. Take your time, hang up the phone, say, let me check on this, or can you give me a minute? If you have a cell phone and it's the landline you've answered on, go to your cell phone, call someone, and just say, I'm on this really unusual call. What do you think? Or call the person whom you think has been injured and check in. And if you can't reach them, then I would suggest, call the police. They've heard so many of these stories. They can tell you right away, this is a scam. Hang up right away.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian, MJ, and Will for their input, to Matt Ladder for his technical expertise, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About. Rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Facebook and Twitter at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and with our daily Kickstart podcast. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.